Hello, this is Giselle Gamby from the Intuitive Pull podcast. We are now in season 5 as we are on the home run for 2024. The next episodes will be daily episodes until the 31st of December 2024, all dedicated to you coming to full and complete resolution around the places within you and the places in your life that are unresolved. Welcome to this episode. So now we're at the third element, speaking to the model that I presented a few episodes ago, where we need the elements of fear, where we need the element of fire, and we need the element of faith, all to work in conjunction with each other, all interconnected, all interdependent, so that we experience freedom around the things that we have not had resolution about. So today we're going to talk about the element of faith. So I'm just going to remind you about what I spoke about faith in the last session. So faith suggests that there is more to this world than our physical human body. Faith suggests that we are more than this physical human body, more than this personality and this identity, more than what we can see with our five senses, or acknowledge, I should say, with our five senses. That we are a soul, that we have a spirit, that there is a realm where we are connected, a quantum realm where everything is connected, everything is vibrating, everything is frequency, and everything is connected based on what that frequency is emitting. The element of faith also suggests that we have come into this human body to experience something in particular this lifetime. So if we have not been able to experience forgiveness, let's say, in previous lifetimes, if we have not been able to experience compassion, let's say, if we've not been able to experience our powerful self in previous lifetimes, then our whole life is orchestrated such that we get to experience that if we have agency. And of course, in order to experience forgiveness, in order to experience compassion, in order to experience our powerful self, we need to experience the contrast of it to begin with. Because if you remember the episode that I spoke about fear, that in order for us to know love, we need to know fear. In order for us to know black, we need to know white. In order for us to know white, we need to know black. Because we live in this relative world, we need contrast. And so in this element of faith, there is always a bigger picture unfolding. And that bigger picture is unfolding for our greater good. There is always a divine orchestration occurring. I always see it like this. I always see it as circuitry that is beyond our control, that is being set up for us on behalf of us in order for us to know who we really are. So without faith, I mean, when I think about where my awakening began, or when my awakening began, it was at a time of massive crisis. My 11-day-old baby had passed away. I had separated from my previous husband. That marriage was physically abusive, emotionally abusive. It was full of chaos. Had I not embraced the fire, which was what I talked about in the last episode, if I had not embraced fire, and had I not embraced the element of faith, there is no way that I would have become free from that chaos. There is no way that I would have come to resolution within myself and also resolution within my life had I not picked up the baton of fire, and had I not believed that there was a bigger picture unfolding, had I not believed that even all the experiences that I had just suffered, had I not believed that even they were divinely orchestrated, if I did not have faith around those circumstances, that those circumstances and those people, including the death of my baby, was not divinely orchestrated, I know it's a really hard thing to get our head around at times, then I would still be imprisoned. I would still be shackled to the unworthiness and to the powerlessness that actually had created that reality. And so faith for me has been something that I have come to know, not because of religion, even though I grew up as a Catholic, not because of anything I learnt when I went to church, but instead through my experience and through a very deep relationship and a continually deepening relationship with God, the universe, with the idea that there's a loving force that creates everything for us to know that we are love, and for our brothers and sisters to know that they are love. And it's a very difficult concept to grasp when there are horrible things going on in the world. But if we can hold that premise to be true within our own lives, which is what I did when I moved from chaos and crisis to freedom, well, when we're in integrity with that, we have a greater ability to affect the world outside of us. And so let's look at fear without faith. Remember, I always think about the circles when I'm playing this out in my mind. We're in fear and we have no faith. As I said, fear on its own, no faith, no fire, is a world of terror. So now we have fear without faith. Fear without faith is devoid of magic, of miracles, of grace, of the ability to see the bigger picture, and ultimately devoid of freedom. The unconscious choice when we are living from fear and we are forgetting that we also have the element of faith in our universe. The unconscious choice here is loss of who we are, of who we really are, because we think that this is all that we are, the human form. And therefore, this human form is the only thing that can change things. So we experience loss and we experience separation. We experience separation from the idea that we are connected to all, that we have a sacred contract with people in our lives, that we have a sacred contract with life itself. There is an unconscious choice when we are only orientating in fear without faith of loss and separation. So it's a loss of remembering that we are more than this identity and this personality, that we are more than our circumstances, that we are more than our worries and troubles, that we are more than our powerlessness and our unworthiness and our distrust, that we are more than this desire to control. And ultimately, this is really, really important. We forget that we have the ability to live in a paradigm of causation, meaning that we have the ability to affect matter by going to the cause and going to the source point of our reality. We forget that energy informs matter. And therefore we forget our innate power, that we are able to affect matter because we're able to respond from that level of causation, cause and effect. And the idea that we are living this reality of cause and effect for a much bigger picture, to know who we really are. Because without contrast, we don't get to experience that. When we orientate from fear without faith, we don't have the ability to transmute fear. We don't have the ability to dissolve and burn off and complete expressions of ourselves that have only created suffering and pain and limitation and dead ends. We don't have the ability to realize that actually purpose is born from our suffering. We don't have the ability to know that we can turn lead into gold. We don't have the ability to know that we can experience miracles in dire circumstances. We don't have the ability to know that we can transform fear into love. And so that's what happens when fear lives alone without faith. So now let's have a look at when faith, just imagine the circles, exists without fire. So we have faith, but we do not have fire. Again, when we only live from the orientation of faith without the remembering that we also have to take personal responsibility and make decisions and choices and pick up that baton of agency, this is an orientation devoid of personal agency. And the unconscious choice here is powerlessness. It's an ungrounded reality. It's passive. Malcolm said in the episode a few episodes ago, it's like he said he always poo-pooed manifesting because it was like getting a wishbone and breaking it off. It's that passive, wishful thinking, giving power away to the universe, forgetting that we have to also participate in this human form. It's actually a delusional state of being because it forgets that we in this human incarnation are on a journey of remembering who we are and that we have to want and desire to find ourselves more than we want to remain lost. And so faith without fire is a very powerless place to orientate from. And in the spiritual world, there are a lot of people who live with the absence of fire, completely having given their power away to God, the universe. It is ungrounded. It will not move anything. And so now let's bring all of those elements together. Can you see that fear, fire, and faith all have to coexist? Can you see that each element builds upon the other? Often, fear gets triggered. When we're ready, when we have chosen to do something about our internal and external reality, we actually move from fear to faith, to that place of humility. We have to have that experience of saying to ourselves, what I've been doing has not been working. What I've been holding on to, what I've been defending, how I've been resolving things, how I've been pretending, how I've been withholding, how I've been denying, how I've been lying to myself and others is not working, has not worked. And so then we let go into humility, such a powerful agent of change. We say to ourselves, actually, I don't know the way forward. I remember in 2013 having experienced a couple of years of things not working in my business. And my husband saying to me words that hurt, that cut so deeply, but they needed to be said. He said, Giselle, the ship is sinking. You need to give yourself a cutoff date. It's all I needed to hear to start facing into myself. And it was really, 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 really hard. And it hurt a lot. And I went to that place of humility that said, I actually don't know the way forward. I thought I did. I have been doing this and I've been doing that. And I've tried this and I've tried that earnestly for the past 2 years. I've worked hard. I've worked my butt off. I put myself in situations that were so anxiety ridden. And I know it doesn't work. And now I don't know what does. And I'm letting go. And so we need to have humility. And in conjunction of that, we need to have the fire that allows us to start taking responsibility. The fire that has us start looking at who have we been? Causation, remember? Who have we been that has created this reality that I was unaware of? We have to make the decision. We have to run with it. We have to run with what is moving us. Like Malcolm said, there was a force that was greater than him, that was moving him, that was asking him to bring that bear out of the cave, to bring what had been unresolved, that had been swept under the carpet for decades. And so the element of fear is often a catalyst, a trigger that allows us to go to a place of humility, that then allows us at the same time, it's all interconnected, it's all interdependent, to pick up that baton of agency and personal responsibility. And so those three elements are always the elements that create lasting transformation. And I hope that the last 3 episodes have allowed you to see and maybe face into yourself when you have only been orientating from fear, forgetting that there's also fire and faith. Or maybe you've been orientating from faith only and having given your power away to the universe, God. Or maybe you've realized that actually you've been orientating only from fire and you've been in control and you've forgotten actually that everything is connected and that there's a bigger picture unfolding. So thank you for being with me over the last 3 episodes. It might even be quite worthwhile to go back to previous episodes now having received this model and see how those episodes now land with you now that you've got this framework. And I would love to know how the framework has landed with you. If there have been any aha moments, if there's any movement that happens as a result of listening and considering this framework. Until the next time, ciao, ciao.